Everybody, here we are, Torah Life Ministries with David Reeves. David, introduce yourself to the Torah Life audience.
Well, I'm David Reeves. I'm from near Nashville, Tennessee, and I talk all over the country on creation and biblical astronomy and things like that.
Well, creation and biblical astronomy, can you explain how those two things go together?
Well, Psalm 19:1 tells us, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows His handiwork." And today, with the technology that I have large telescopes that are mobile GPS telescopes like they use in universities around the world. And with those, I can see amazing things that God's put up there in the heavens for us, a part of creation. And so that's how it all connects together. It's all right there in the scriptures.
Well, we know the horoscopes and things like this are New Age, kind of New Age astrology. What's the difference between reading God's signs and the signs versus this New Age stuff?
Good question. Well, astrology is the belief that the position of the planets and the stars actually influence human destiny, and it's paganism. It was worshipped by the Babylonians, but what we do is we look at astronomy, the study of the heavens, scientifically, and we use the Bible, we use the scriptures as our basis for all of that study.
So we're using it more for research than for prediction.
Exactly.
Okay, what's some of the things you've found in your research that most people aren't talking about today?
Well, you know, one of the things that I found was just how significant creation is, and one of the parts of creation, the seventh day, is something that a lot of people aren't speaking of. They want to talk about the 6 days of creation, but the seventh day was very important. It was the sign between Him and His people, so they would know who the Creator is. And so all over the creation, everything we see around us was specially designed, and yet today so many people tell us that we came from apes and that we evolved from tiny creatures. And it's so much a shame to see that happening, especially to the younger generation who go to college and they're taught this as a scientific fact, when in reality it's not based on any science.
I recently heard that there's no science, as you say, to the evolutionary pictures and everything else, but the schools just continue to teach it just because they like it. They like the way it sounds.
Well, you know, several preachers all throughout the ages have said something that I think is very, very important. They say that these evolutionists, they want to teach evolution to escape from the very thought of Yah, from the very thought of God. They don't want to be accountable to a creator and to His guidelines and to His instructions.
Well, you know, the moon and the stars and the sun, these are all the timepieces of our wonderful Creator.
The sun, the moon, the stars were to be for times, for signs, for seasons, days, and years, and to give light upon the earth. So they functioned in many, many different ways, and we're told that during the end times, we should be looking out for specific signs that mark the end of times.
Well, one of the reasons I say so many people are sick today is they're living against the way we're designed, and people say, what do you mean? And I say, well, nocturnal animals thrive at nighttime, and you know, we're not nocturnal animals, so we should be thriving in the daytime. Have you made any connection between things like when the moon's out, the waters of the planet and our body are moving in special patterns? Is there any special patterns you've discovered through the stars, the sun, and the moon, and things like this?
Well, we find a lot of patterns. I can't think of anything specific, but we do find all throughout creation there are patterns that were designed from the beginning for everything to function on. And if you don't function on those patterns, on those specific guidelines, things just don't seem to work right. So that's exactly right.
And how did you develop this passion to teach about this? Because your dad is an archaeology teacher.
He works with archaeology, that's right, and also wrote the book Too Long in the Sun. And so about 5 years ago, of course, I still had the passion from all of the archaeology, and I've been over to the Holy Land many, many times and working with the Israeli government on archaeological projects. And that sort of sparked my interest in research and finding out the truth about things. And about 5 years ago, I got a large telescope, and the first time I looked through it, I thought, I have to be able to share this with others. And so I formed a little ministry and started to tell people what I'd learned, because I think it's important to get that message out to as many people as possible.
Great. And is there anything you want to add about your passion or your ministry that people need to know more about that's not being spoken about out there?
Well, you know, I think it's so dangerous that a lot of people, even people considering themselves Christians, people in the churches, people that say they believe the Bible, they don't really. They want to mix evolution and the Bible and say that, well, there is a God, but he used evolution. And there's no basis for that in scriptures. We need to take a look first literally at what the Bible says and go from there. The interpretations of man is a very dangerous game to be playing, and we have to be careful to steer clear from that.
Is there anything coming up, any signs we should be looking for with the stars, sun, and moon that people can expect to see anytime soon?
Well, I don't know exactly what to tell you on that, but I'm definitely looking up. I'm looking for those signs to happen, because one day, probably soon, we're seeing things falling into place.
Now, when you look up, when you got that telescope and you looked up at the sky and you said you developed a passion for this, what did you see different than the average person might see?
Well, because I have special astronomical video cameras and DSLR digital cameras that I connect to the back of the telescope, I can see all of the colors, all of the detail in galaxies, nebula, star clusters, all of these things that most people never get a chance to see in their entire life. And I can see it in such amazing detail that some of it rivals the Hubble Space Telescope images. And to be able to see that for your own eyes, live through a telescope, actually that's happening, that's there. It's an eye-opener. And the scriptures tell us great things past finding out, yea, and wonders without number. The scriptures also say that the invisible things since the beginning of the world are being understood by that which is made. They're being revealed by that which is made. And today, through the technology that we have and the technology that I employ, we're finding out things that we never knew existed, yet there was a reason that they were put up there.
How much time do you spend every week looking through a telescope and looking at the sky?
Well, I sort of have to balance everything out between the telescope time, taking images, and also research, because I always like to learn new things. And I stay pretty busy creating new short videos for WorldNet Daily and new documentaries, almost to release my first book, so I'm excited about that.
Right. One of the things I find amazing is, you know, people go to the Holy Land and they see sites where Yeshua walked and all these things, but when you look up at the sky, you see the same stars and the same moon, the same sun that's been there since the beginning of time. That's truly amazing.
It is. Well, you know, if we look back at the Psalm tells us, if the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Well, if we look back to the very foundations, Genesis 1:1, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, in the beginning, God, Elohim, created the heaven and the earth. Well, those foundations are being challenged today. And if we look farther along in scriptures, we see who the cornerstone of the foundation is, and that's Yeshua.
Well, you said you had some videos out and you have a book that's coming out. How could people get in touch with you and find out more about your work and what you're doing?
The best way is to sign up for my email updates at my website, davidrives.com. And when you sign up for those, I'll send you a free video once a week. You can also look at my other DVDs that I've produced, and tons of free articles and pictures that I've taken with my telescope. Some exciting things. So that's probably the best way. And send me an email and let me know how you're thinking on all of this.
Great. You have anything else you want to share before we end?
It's a privilege to be a part of this. I thank you so much for trying to get the truth out there. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you, and shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah Life Ministries. Come out of the world,